Okay, this is about fear of public speaking. I'm not trained as a public speaker, but I have done a lot of it, and I've got my own style. I'm okay with a microphone, and I can work with. I've done loads of it in front of lots and lots of people over the time, and it can be very daunting how the emotions come in, and oh, am I going to say the right thing? Am I going to upset people? Am I going to be inappropriate with my humor? Blah, 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 blah. I just crack on with it. When I need to do it, I can do it. And I've done a lot of it over a 20-year period. I'm not so sure about scripts, and I think it's good to have a few pointers. And if you're doing I don't know about after dinner speeches or whatever, but what I do know about is tapping on the fears in the mind. And so if you write the event down and how much fear you have around it, 10 being the highest, 0 being nothing. And then if you tap with me, even though I fear falling apart on stage or falling apart at that wedding, or just speaking publicly in a classroom, whatever way it is, I feel this anxiety and fear, this dreaded fear of everything going wrong. Even though I'm able to do this, but what if I fluff my lines, fluffing the 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 lines. Even though I might become overwhelmed with fear, not be able to talk and get emotional, it's okay. I will crack on. What's the worst can happen? I just keep breathing and things will work out. Even though there's this absolute terror around public speaking, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Terror, absolute terror, terror, terror. So I'm just going to stop there a second. You can evaluate where you're at. It might be the same, might have come down a bit, your fear. What is actually happening with anxiety? What is it? What is it? What's happening? A lot of people say it's the fight and flight, and I believe that's what it is. Becomes activated, you either want to fight or run. And that's what I try and remember. Always what's happening is my fight and flight has become activated. I find it very difficult to realize that in the moment of when it's happening, but I can realize it now. So a lot of the time it's about me doing things that make me feel peaceful and I get some comfort from, like walking the dog, exercising, socializing, having goals, dreams, all parts of life. And if I can bring my anxiety levels down, it won't be so overwhelming when they come up, because they're only going to maybe come up to 7 or 8. But if I'm running at a 7 or 8 most of the time, when I get that little bit of more anxiety, it can be absolutely over in what I call like the red zone, where it's just incredibly uncomfortable. And I get short little bursts of that. Through my experience of being on stage with a microphone, I would say there's a few things that you can do to kind of just look above the audience. There's some skill that you can do that I just kind of don't really look at them. I might pinpoint them later and direct, and start looking at people eye to eye and then changing it around. But I always aim for the back of the hall, and basically, and above their heads, and I project out, and I find it incredibly good. But what can happen when I go on stage with a microphone, it's like the initial bit of rabbit looking in the headlights. There's the art of it is not to allow that energy to overwhelm you, but to use that energy to kind of just keep breathing. And then once I get a few minutes in, generally I'm off and running then. It's the first few minutes I find it. So even though the first few minutes of being on stage or doing my talk is when I can feel the most intense anxiety at times, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And in fact, I probably need that energy to give me the boost. I need some of that energy. I need to be a little bit on edge on stage or public speaking. It keeps me focused, alert. It's not all negative, but it's when the anxiety becomes to a point where it is overwhelming and I'm nearly crying on stage, you know, that can be hard, but I've learned just to breathe through that and, you know, and visualize it going okay. And it's gone okay more times than not. It'll be all right. Be okay. Even though I'm really fearful of that wedding or that social event where I've got to talk, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm totally overwhelmed by this fear, this absolute terror of talking in front of people. They might shame me, they might punish me, or they might walk out on me, they might laugh at me. Whatever it is, I'm enough. Bring it on. Bring it on. I'm awesome. I can talk in front of anyone. Big crowds, small crowds, whatever. Kids, old people, young people, loads of people. Doesn't matter. This country, that country. Bring it on. Give me a microphone and a stage and I'm at home. It's just the first few minutes doesn't feel like home. Even though it feels incredibly uncomfortable sometimes talking in front of people, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though, I mean, I can feel uncomfortable talking in front of myself. It's good to talk. It's good to public speak. It's okay. It takes time, it takes skills, you know, there's skills involved in public speaking. What I'm talking about is the emotion that can be overwhelming. That's what I'm trying to work on in this tapping. And I actually feel really charged up now by tapping on that stuff. And I think because I've been to lots of groups and I've spoken thousands, you know, I'm not being big-headed, but I've spoken maybe thousands of times in front of people. And I mean like small group, 10 people, 20 people, 30 people, 40 people, hundreds of people sometimes. It's no problem. And I try not to judge myself and try not to worry about any of it because it will work out. And I can say no to stuff if I don't want to do it. I can pull out of stuff if I need to. Or I can just wrap it up and just say, you know, I'm not on the boil tonight. You know, it becomes a little bit more difficult if you're being paid, even though you might be being paid to talk. And there's that expectation that people have paid their money. There's that pressure to deliver, pressure to deliver. Your colleagues are there, your management's there, those experts are there. These are all different scenarios or trigger, I forget what we call them. It's not called trigger, aspects. They're called aspects of the anxiety. And you can put your own aspect in. So it might be, even though my boss is sat right at the front and he's screwing me up, he's looking at me and he doesn't look happy, don't focus on him. Just smile at him, move on. Smile at him or her, move on. Just blank them. They're just another member of the audience, whoever's there. Even though there's experts there, they might think I'm a fraud. Who cares? I know I'm all right. I am all right. And it's all them different little things that I think the more I work on them, the less they can trip you up on the event. And I find tapping before going on stage, like going, I am awesome. I've even been into a toilet, I've done stand-up comedy and I've just tapped on myself. It just helps me to get on the stage. It might not necessarily take the fear away much. And like I say, I think personally, I should be feeling some fear, you know, that is normal. I think, to be on a microphone. If there was nothing, I don't know how I'd have that kick of energy to really go, you know. I'll leave it there anyway. Happy tapping. Happy tapping.